Uh-huh.
Okay. Go ahead.
Hello, and today we want to speak about the path to God. My name is Visvamitra from the United States, currently living in Mexico. The path to God is actually the only thing worth doing as a human being. That's why we were born. Born because we need to return to God. And to get a human life is extraordinarily rare. Swami Brahmananda Saraswati, a great saint from India, was once quoted as saying, human life is acquired only one time in 4 million species, 4 million opportunities to get a human life, or one opportunity to get a human life out of 4 million species that can be born into. And one is born into different species as a result of their karmic traces. Karmic traces are things that we have done, actions we have taken, in which we have not been operating in accord with the will of God. Anytime we act not in accord with the will of God, it creates an influence of disharmony in the universe. And that influence of disharmony is something that we own. And we must, at some point, balance that and take it back to a state of harmony. When we have all harmonious influence in our environment, in our physiology, in our consciousness, then we are directly connected to and in tune with the divine. Without this complete purity of harmonious influence in life, there's static on the line. We can't hear God. God sees us, knows we're here, but we are having no success in our direct communication. Once the line is clear, then the communication is clear and the path to God is open. So our secondary objective on the path to God is to clear the path from any static, open up the path to God. And we have many, many ways of doing this. There are 1,000 ways more to clear the path of static so that we can have a direct connection with the divine. In religions, the common tool is prayer. Prayer is basically using the mind in an attempt to make a communication with the divine. And we're told in religions that maybe you don't have any response, but God always hears your prayers. And that's true. But it's much more fulfilling when one has a conversation with someone that the other person can be heard and respond. If we have a question, we'd like to have an answer. And it's just nice to have a complete, clear, two-way conversation. So that is the path to God, opening up this clear, complete, two-way conversation. We can say much more about the path to God, but for now, that will probably be sufficient. Open up this path to God and clear the debt of karmic traces that we have accumulated is really quite simple. We need only to make a connection with the divine through our intention, and then introduce the opposite influence in our awareness, the influence that is opposite to what we did in whatever past life the karmic trace was formed. And we use a technique of meditation. Just call it meditation instead of prayer, but a technique of meditation that does exactly that. This technique of meditation uses a sound as the thought. Now, it doesn't have any meaning, this sound. It only is a frequency vibration. So how does creating a frequency vibration in the mind accomplish anything? It's not any sort of intelligible prayer. It's just a frequency vibration. Well, the reason it works is it's a special frequency vibration out of all the possible ones that we could create in our mind that has within it the ability to balance any karmic trace that it comes into contact with. So this is an optimized prayer, basically. It's not asking for anything. It's not saying anything that makes any sense to anyone, but it is purely clearing the path. So it's a very efficient way to spend a few minutes of your time. If you spend a few minutes of your time thinking this special frequency sound that has no meaning, you will clear tremendous amounts of karmic traces, and your connection with the divine will become more and more alive. So that is the path to God. Clearing the path to God is done through a special sound frequency we call mantra. And that is the beginning. We have developed, with the grace of the divine, a complete way to clear the path to God in the most efficient way, in the least amount of time. And we call this Sahasra Sirsha Brahma meditation. Sahasra Sirsha Brahma are Sanskrit words. And what they mean is 1,000 minds of God. So this is a meditation called the 1,000 Minds of God. Now, why 1,000 and why minds? Well, mind is very important. That is what separates human beings. Those one species in 4 million that we have this incredible opportunity to be able to enjoy, and all the other species. We have the ability to think a thought. We can think any thought. We have the free will to think whatever thought we want to think. Now, a lot of times we have thoughts we don't want to think. Why don't we have the ability to not think a thought? The problem arises because there are two sources of thought. One source of thought comes from our individual karmic traces. Individual karmic traces are the residue of the things we did in the past that were not in alignment with the will of God. The will of God is also has the name of laws of nature. We can also call the will of God divine karmic traces. Karma is a Sanskrit word that literally only means action. Anytime we take an action, karma is created. That is karma, taking an action. If the action is in alignment with the will of God, what happens? We literally amplify the will of God. If the action is not in alignment with the will of God, what happens? Well, we don't destroy the will of God, but we cover it. And from our perspective, with this discordant energy. And as we go through lifetime after lifetime, we accumulate huge amounts of this discordant energy. And that we call karmic traces. But how did the universe get created in the first place? Well, there in the beginning, there was the Word. And the Word was God. And this Word was a thought in the mind of God. So the whole universe is created literally in the mind of God. Now we create things in our mind too. If you had dreams, or dreams, things you create in your mind while you're asleep, fantasies. There's a type of dream called a lucid dream. Perhaps you've heard of it. A lucid dream is a dream in which you know you're dreaming. It is a dream. And it's very powerful when you have a lucid dream because you know you can do anything in this dream because this is your universe. You're creating it right now. You are the God of this little universe in your mind. So most people, when they have their first lucid dream, they can't think of what they should do. And finally, they settle on, well, if this is a dream and I'm dreaming it, and I can do anything, I'll fly. So they take off flying around. It's a very common thing to do in a lucid dream. Sometimes you get so excited and you realize you're dreaming, you just wake up immediately. But if you can hold on to the dream a little while and fly around, it's very exhilarating. When you wake up, you never forget that dream. It was so vivid and real. Well, in the mind of the divine, there is a fantastic lucid dream going on. That is the universe. And our dreams that arise in our mind, they come from memories. And so we are created by the divine in the image of God. And that means that the dream in the mind of God is also a memory. Memory of what? A memory of the ideal universe. So God is having a dream of God. And the universe God lives in. Now our path to God becomes a little more expanded. So we have God having a dream of God. And what we are experiencing is kind of a secondhand dream of God, because we are the dream creatures in this universal dream of the divine. Now, if you have a lot of lucid dreams, at some point, you begin questioning what's going on here. Who are all these people? I know these people. I know I've created them in my own mind. I think I would like to talk to one or two of them. So try it. Next time you have a lucid dream, talk to some of your dream creatures. What happens? Sometimes they just ignore you. They don't even act like you exist. Just you're talking and they're just going about whatever they're wanting to do. Other times they stop and look at you very quizzically and listen, and they don't know how to respond. If you say something incredulous like, "Watch this, I'm going to fly," then you take off and you fly away. Most of the time, your dream creatures just carry on doing whatever they were doing. They don't even look at you. Occasionally, one of them will look, and then that one becomes curious, and then that one starts talking to you. How'd you do that? Can I do that too? This is a parallel experience to what is really going on right now in this universe. God has created you in His mind. You are His dream creature. And you're one of those dream creatures that is watching God and saying, "Hey, how do you do those things? Can I do that too?" And you're having questions. Or maybe you're saying, "I'm having a little problem here. Can you help me?" You're recognizing that there is someone there, a consciousness that's aware of you. Now, in most religions where God is talked about, you're told these things. God is always there. He's omnipresent. He's omnipotent. He always hears your prayers. And He will answer your prayers if it's good for you. And if it's not good for you, He won't answer your prayers. Why is that? Because whatever you ask for, whatever is your prayer, whatever is the reason you want to communicate with God, it needs to be in accord with the divine idea, the will of God. Why did the universe get created in the first place? The universe was created out of compassion for individuals, for people. It's a little bit complicated, but basically, the universe is created in the mind of God. You are one of the dream creatures in the mind of God, but there is a deeper meaning to who you are. Now, if we go back to the analogy of a lucid dream, who created all those people in your dream? You did, didn't you? You created them from memories. And where are those memories stored? Well, they're stored in your individual karmic traces. Sometimes the people you create in your dreams are not very nice people. Sometimes they're monsters. Sometimes they're wonderful, beautiful beings. But all of that is in your storehouse of karmic traces. All the people that are created in this universe as individual beings are created in the mind of the divine. And like you, when you have a lucid dream, the creator of this gigantic, colossal dream called the universe wants to get to know you, wants to talk to you, wants to give you help and information. But if you're not awake enough to ask, or you're not awake enough to hear, you can spend your whole life without any direct connection with the divine. We have then a technology for waking up the dream creature. You are a dream creature in the universe, and you can wake up yourself to your connection with the divine. That is called the beginning of self-realization. Who am I? Why am I here? Where did I come from? Where am I going? Do I have a purpose? Those are questions that people begin to ask when they start looking within. They start reflecting on what is the nature of existence, the nature of life. If you go down that path far enough, you have a rather startling realization. I'm a dream creature in the mind of God. What does that mean? Well, God created me. He created me from memories. Wait a minute, that means I'm a memory in the mind of God. And if I'm a memory in the mind of God, does that make me different from God? No, it makes me part of God, part of God's mind. I am literally part of the divine. So that's a very wonderful beginning to self-realization. Who am I? I'm part of the divine. Take that a little bit further. What if I clear all of my individual karmic traces? Do I become a better part of God? Yes, because my communication channel is more open, more direct. Ultimately, we find after doing a lot of research, this is not research that takes just a few years, it takes lifetime. It's recorded in some ancient literature called the Vedic literature. The Vedas are the recorded history of the human race and the entire universe, how the universe was formed, the oldest recorded information. And in there it tells us there are different stages for getting to this realization of who I am. And the first stage is called moksha, level 1. Moksha is a Sanskrit word that means freedom, liberation, reaching the final goal of existence. Now there are 5 levels to the goal of existence. So this is an exciting path that once you begin on it, you realize it's vast and it's most interesting and incredibly fulfilling to take these various steps, taking you closer and closer to the divine. The meditation, Sahasra Sirsha Brahma meditation, is designed specifically to help you accomplish these steps leading to your direct connection with the divine and answering that question, who am I? It is an optimized way to spend your time. We only have so much time. But here's a way for us to spend our time in such a way that we will get the best result from it. So if you're interested in answering these questions, who am I? Who is God? What is my connection with the divine? How do I get there from here? Why should I do this? This is the way to do it. through this simple program. Now, it has another benefit, however, and that other benefit is when you clear your path to God, you're spontaneously clearing all of the people that you're related to path to God. Now, it says in the Vedic literature, God originally created 10 couples. And he told them, go and procreate and create all the people in the world. That means you're related to 10% of the world population. All those people are your, and so by having that direct connection with all those wonderful people, you're helping everyone achieve this ability to connect with it. So now my time is over and I have another meeting. So thank you all for joining today. And I invite you to join with us in the Sahasra Sirsha Brahma meditation.
Thank you so much, Visvamitra. Talk to you soon. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.